Hello all, I am Siddharth Kaul and I welcome you to Edupedia world. In this video, I am going to demonstrate how to debug a MATLAB code. First, I will show you how to set a breakpoint, then I will show you how to run a program with the set at breakpoint, then I will tell you about the changes that happened while in the debug mode. Then I'm going to show you how to observe and view or change values during the debug operation. Then I'm going to look into certain debug options that are available like step in, step out, and so on. Then we will clear the breakpoint. We'll see how to clear a breakpoint. And at last we will see how to exit the debug mode. So first, let me show you how to set a breakpoint. But before that, let me explain to you what this example is. So basically, this is a very simple example. I have defined a variable x that is an array of 1 with size 10. Then I am taking a for loop where n is indexed from 2 to 10, and what I am doing with this is I am just multiplying 2 with the previous value and storing it in the current value. So we'll get output something like 1, 2, 4, 8 and so on. Now let us see how we can set a breakpoint. So there are multiple breakpoints that can be set. Either it can be a standard breakpoint or it can be a conditional breakpoint. So breakpoints are set by right clicking on the line where you want to set the breakpoint and selecting set breakpoint. We also have a set conditional breakpoint. Set conditional breakpoint is something where you apply a condition only at which the breakpoint should happen. Say if I'll set the breakpoint first. Say in this for loop case, if we want to set a breakpoint after say n crosses 5, we can do that by right clicking set conditional breakpoint and we will write set when n crosses 5. So actually we have to set it here. We have to set a conditional point inside the for loop statement and we will write when n greater than equal to. So this can also be set. So there are coloration you can see in the breakpoint. So one is a red color, which means it's a valid breakpoint and it is enabled, and the second is a conditional breakpoint that will be enabled only when the condition is met. So now let's run our program with these breakpoints. So I'm going to go to debug and I'm going to run this code, that is the debug code. So as you can see, I immediately get a green line here. So there are certain changes that happen when we step into a debug mode. So the first, on the editor pane, we have this green line that says that this is the current line that has been executed. Then on the command window, we get the current line taker is replaced with the K, showing that we are in the debugger mode. And on the status, we are shown that it is in debugger mode and the execution has been stopped in the debugger mode. So now let's go back to our editor. So now we are stuck at the line 1. Now there are multiple options here. So we have step in, step out and continue. Step means it will execute the current line. So we can see that it has executed the current line. We can see here in the workspace that X has been defined with the size 10 and all ones. Now next we have step in, that is the says to execute the current line, and if it is a function call, it will go to that function call. So here in our case there is no function call. Step in will just like be step and will execute the line. So a for loop has been done and n has been defined with the index value of first 2. Now again we have step out, that is something like step in, but when we are in the called function it comes out where it has been originally called. And then we have continue. Continue is something that keeps on running and running until another breakpoint is received or the end of execution has happened. So as of now I'm going to do step in and the end has been reached, end of the first loop has been reached. Again I can go to debug, step in, the second statement, and again step in at the end. As you can see, our debugger did not work. For our set conditional debugger did not work. So I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to right click and clear the breakpoint. Now the question comes, while in the debug mode, how to observe the values? So there are two ways which we can observe the value. Either we can observe through workspace, which in this case is simpler because it is just a simple dimensional array. The other thing is, for each loop statement we can just hover over the variable which we want to see the value. Say I have hovered over n and we can see that n is currently 3. Now let me go one step forward and one more. Now when we check the value of n, it comes to 4. So you get the point. So every step the value keeps on changing, and we can monitor it just by hovering our mouse over the variable. So this is how the debugger actually works. Now, how to get out of the debug mode? So the getting out of debug mode is quite simple. We go to debug and we can exit the debug mode, or we can continue it till the end of execution. So here I am going to exit the debug mode. So we have now officially moved out of the debug mode. That can be confirmed as the command window, the K has been removed and the debugger status has been removed. Now moving back to the editor. So how to clear the breakpoints? So breakpoints can be cleared as shown before, like right clicking on the breakpoint and clearing the breakpoint. This concludes our demonstration about this debug mode. While debugging, it is possible to step through a MATLAB file, pausing at points where it is required to examine the values. So I breezed through this in the demonstration. So I'm not going to show you like what these debugging actions are. So first there is a run to cursor. So basically this is where, as the name suggests, execution happens until the line where the cursor is positioned. Then the second we have is a step where the current line of the file is executed. Third, we have what is called a step in. This is where the current line of the file is executed, and if the line is a call to another function, then the debugger steps into that function. Fourth, we have this continue statement that resumes the execution of file until completion or until another breakpoint is encountered. Fifth, we have a step out that runs the rest of the called function or local function, or basically leaves the called function and pauses. And last, and the sixth, is quitting the debugging mode, which is, as name suggests, exits us from the debug mode. This concludes our video on debugging in MATLAB. Next, we will see how to present the MATLAB code. This is for something when we need to pass the code to someone who does not have a MATLAB installed. So how do we send them the code? So until then, please subscribe and thanks for watching.